Let's talk about the crate challenge and the TikTok ban. Let's also discuss the food shortages at McDonalds, Nandos and Greggs. What about Nigeria's new king? And a whole lot more. This is Pablo from Hackney, and this is Pablo's podcast. Thank you for choosing Pablo's podcast today. Welcome. Don't make a habit out of choosing what feels good over what's actually good for you. Eric Thomas. Wise words. Wise words. So, it's episode 71, back again, sparking debate. We're coming to the end of August. It's bank holiday weekend. Traditionally carnival time, but no actual carnival this year. But I'm sure there'll be that carnival energy with the parties and the freedom and the festivals that are going on. So as long as the vibe's there, you know, we'll be fine. And a shout out to all the Trinidad and Tobago people with their Independence Day on the 31st, bank holiday weekend. I'm sure they're going to turn it up with some roti and all sorts of spices and good food and vibes. And music, the heartbeat. So yeah, it's going to be a good weekend regardless. And the weather looks good too. The weather looks like it's going to hold up for us. So it's going to be good. So congratulations on the Paralympics, everybody involved in the Paralympics. Doesn't get as much shine as the traditional Olympics, but you know, it's definitely a mean feat to do anything on an Olympic level, and especially with disabilities, etc. So shout out to Kadina Cox. She won the gold paracycling, C4 500 meters trial time, and she also got a gold for the paracycling on the C1 750 meters team sprint. So excellent achievement. And I think she's still in a few more disciplines going forward as well, but she's coming on with at least 2 golds. And I'm sure more. The way she's going, she's probably going to come on with a few more. So yeah, congratulations to her. Congratulations. So this other group of people I'm about to talk about, you could consider them athletes on some level, but yeah, this is kind of strange. So you've probably seen it online and Instagram, Facebook, etc. The crate challenge. So this crate challenge, for those that don't know, you know, they've got like the milk crates or drink crates stacked up, and basically you've got to try and walk over them and without falling over. And you know, the adult in me sees the dangers, sees how they shouldn't be doing this because it is really dangerous. But the kid in me, you know, I'm old enough to be wise and see the dangers, but I'm still young enough to remember how this is the kind of stuff that I probably would have got up to as a kid. And it still makes me laugh as a child when you see people trying to do it and you know how it's going to end. And the way they end up falling. And really, it's not actually funny, really, because it is. I mean, people walk away from it, so, you know, it's not like people are, you know, hurt in a way that they can't move straight afterwards. But the way they fall, you know, it's like, how can I describe it? It's like, the way they fall, it's like somebody dropping them from a height. They go from 1 minute of walking and kind of showing off and feeling like they're going to do it with all the confidence in the world, and the next minute it's like they've been dropped from the sky onto these crates. And yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, it reminded me of, you know, when you used to see someone fall over, you used to say, did you see that person buckle? And, you know, seeing people fall off of these crates is buckling times 100. So yeah, anyway, I'm regressing. I'm kind of, as I'm talking, I'm thinking about all of the crazy stuff we used to do as kids, like, you know, going on garage roofs and jumping from one roof to the other and kind of being little stuntmen. You know, you'd be out in the summer holidays and you're doing things that are actually it's like they're stunts, you know, you shouldn't have been doing them. But you'd kind of get away with it as a kid. I look at these things now and there's no way I would be doing anything like that. And same with these crate challenges. Back in the day, yeah, I would have done it. But now, no way. Even on my BMX back in the day as a kid, I remember there was a stunt we used to do coming out of Clissold Park in Hackney. You'd come down from, if anybody knows that part, there's a calf which is on a hill. So you start from there, and you'd pretty much be standing on your bike coming down this hill with 1 foot on the handlebars and 1 foot behind the seat, and you're balancing with your hands out wide, and then you'd roll down the hill, turn the bike to the left towards the bandstand, and just pretty much ride it out balancing on your bike like that. And I used to do that as a kid, fearless, you know, and stay on it for ages, you know, balancing, no hands, standing up straight. There's no way I would attempt anything like that now. No way. So like I said, I can definitely empathize with young people taking part in these risky behaviors at the risk of buckling. But yeah, it's not smart. It's not smart, because I'm sure some of these people have had to go and see the doctor afterwards. I mean, obviously when they drop, confidence gets them up and they keep it moving. But I know when they went and sat down, they felt them rib shots and them back shots and all sorts. But anyway, TikTok, because people have been filming them and putting them on TikTok, but TikTok has decided to ban the trend over safety concerns. So I do get that. I do get that, because it's not something you want to promote, because it isn't. It's crazy. You know, it's crazy. But yeah, when you're a kid, you know, you take those kind of risks and stuff. But yeah, they are funny though. They are funny, unfortunately. Wouldn't have my kids doing it though. I wouldn't even have my kids watching it, just in case they thought it was something to do. But yeah, it's funny. Okay, so moving forward. So so in regards to the COVID situation, unfortunately, there was a presenter, Lisa Shaw, who worked for the BBC in Newcastle, and she's 44 years old, and she died in May after developing headaches after her first dose of the vaccine, the AstraZeneca vaccine, I believe it was. So yeah, my condolences to her family and you know, family and friends. But obviously, this taps into people's concerns around taking the vaccines and, you know, the things that can come off the back of it. And yeah, she suffered blood clots in the brain, which ultimately resulted in her death. And the inquest linked it to the AstraZeneca vaccine. But it is they have reported that it is rare for that to be the outcome for anybody. But it did happen. So this is what people are people are speaking about. And you know, obviously, if you was an anti-vaxxer, that kind of feeds into your narrative, you know. So I totally get that, but I suppose you have to put things into context, you know, and look into the science of these things, and yeah, just put these things into context, I suppose. But yeah, very, very sad. I mean, I don't know what the numbers are for the amount of people that have died from taking the vaccine. But yeah, it is something that's happened, and I don't think anybody ever denied that. So yeah, but very, very unfortunate, very unfortunate. So, and also, unfortunately, the infections are rising again, with more than 30,000 new cases being confirmed each day. Yeah, and I suppose there's growing evidence also that the immunity through vaccination is depreciating, it's waning now, and hence why they was talking about a booster. And unfortunately, we're going into the winter months, you know, when, you know, viruses, just the common cold and flu and stuff are more prevalent. So, and we're more in the house a lot more. So I'm not sure how, me personally, I'm not sure how you get the numbers down with what we have now, with the technologies, what we have now, the vaccines we have now, etc. You know, with everything being open as it is, which I'm totally happy for, you know, I'm glad things are open. But in regards to slowing down numbers or reducing numbers, it looks like what we've thrown everything we have at the virus, and it's going to be a mix of one, or it's going to be a mix of both. I don't know how we reduce numbers without some sort of restriction, the way things stand. So hopefully I'm wrong, and hopefully there is another way, and hopefully the numbers. Hopefully the numbers go up and then they go back down and whatnot. But I just can't see how that happens with the current technology and science that we have. But overall, the good news is the number of people dying remains very low compared to previous waves that we've had. So that is some good news. So another impact of the whole pandemic thing is supply chain issues. Who would have ever thought that there'd be no milkshakes in McDonald's, or no chicken in Nandos, or Kentucky having chicken shortages, and Greg's having various shortages. You couldn't make it up. You could not make it up. But that's the world we're living in. That's the situation we're dealing with now. So. And I suppose, could you imagine? Milkshakes is not McDonald's' main source of revenue in regards to what they serve. But could you imagine if McDonald's didn't have anything to make burgers? Like they couldn't get burgers delivered in. That would be something. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Not that I'm a big McDonald's fan, but just because of the whole franchise and the whole business and stuff like that, that would be major. But it could happen, if you can run out of milkshakes, and Kentucky and Nandos can run out of chicken, McDonald's could run out of burgers, and I think that would be time to shut up shop. If that lasted for any length of time. But I'm sure we won't get to that. But also part of it has been blamed on the lack of HGV lorry drivers. So the Road Haulage Association basically blamed the backlog on tests, driving tests for new drivers coming in. Also, there's the older people resigning from it. So that whole year, them months during lockdown where nobody was able to do anything, it's left a backlog. So that's obviously playing a part as well. And obviously Brexit as well. And that's something we ain't felt the impact of yet, so we just have to see. Everything's up in flux. Everything's kind of up in the air as in regards to how things are going to go. So it's going to be, we just kind of have to keep our ear to the ground, and see how things go. Yeah. But also they are starting a new antibody test, and they're going to be offering it to the public for the first time. And basically, you'll be able to do a little pinprick situation and find out how much natural protection people have after getting the coronavirus. And it'll be open to people who are over 18 from Tuesday. But it's for people once you've been tested positive, I believe that's when they'll offer it to those people. And they'll pretty much have to do it. I think they'll have to do that pretty much straight away, as soon as possible. Basically, after they've been found positive, and then they'll have a second one 28 days later to measure the antibodies generated in response to the infection. So up to 8,000 be sent the home antibody tests. In the near future. So that's a new development. Hopefully that will give them some new data that will make things easier for us going forward and make us deal with this thing. So unfortunately, there have been 2 young people have lost their life over the past week. In Kingston on Saturday the 21st, a 22-year-old Kai Davis was found with stab wounds, taken to hospital and pronounced dead later. So my thoughts and prayers and condolences to him and his family and friends. and also to a 25-year-old Jason Bentley Morrison, who was stabbed in a nightclub in Digbeth after a fight in Birmingham, that is, Digbeth. A man, Ezekiel Reed's been arrested for the killing. So my thoughts and prayers go out to these young people's families and all people who have been affected by that situation. So, Tasers. Tasers has been in the news quite a bit over the past 12 months, especially with the murder of Dillian Atkinson, the ex-Aston Villa footballer, who was murdered by PC Benjamin Monk. So basically, there's been studies, and what's come out from these studies and reviews is that black people are more likely to be targets of prolonged taser use. So obviously the tasers are meant to be activated for X amount of time, but for some reason black people are, tasered for longer, which is interesting. I mean, it'd be interesting to hear a conversation with the police. If you got 20 police in the room that used tasers over the past year, and just find out, just ask the question, why are you holding the taser on so much longer when it comes to black people? What is that about? What goes through your mind? I'd be interested to hear what their perspective is. Because it's found to be, this is what's happening. So it's not like they could say, we don't. The facts show you do. And they've measured it against, how long they hold the taser down in comparison to white people. And they done this, it was a review over 101 cases where the stun guns was used between 2015 to 2020. And what come up, the fact that, black people make up only 4% of the UK population, but they still made up 60% of people who were subjected to continuous discharge of the taser for more than 5 seconds. And that's compared to 29% of white people, who so you can see the difference, 60% versus 29. And as I said, black people are only 4% of the UK population. So, I'm really glad that they, took the time out to do the study and break it down. But what's more important now is what they do about it. And that's what I haven't heard too much about, what they're going to do about this. The longest, it also revealed the longest length of continuous use was 67 seconds. So over a minute, over a minute. I'd just be interested to hear what they end up doing off of the back of this, how they're going to address it, because it is something that needs to be addressed, definitely. Like I said, it was used. It was part of the murder of Dillian Atkinson, by PC Benjamin Monk. So it is a real thing. Welcome to Pablo's podcast. Join me on a weekly basis with social commentary on current affairs which affect us the most. Come and muse with me. What you can expect is uplifting, positive discussions, interviews on our social, physical and cultural well-being. Voicing some of the perspectives we share but maybe don't vocalise enough. I'll be going through my bucket list of interviewees over the coming weeks. You're guaranteed to get an honest, authentic perspective and insight into what's going on now. If you like what you hear, please click the subscribe button. Please share on your social media apps. And please leave a review. Look forward to spending some time with you over these coming weeks. Thanks for joining me. Take care. So over in Africa, in Nigeria, there is a new king, Prince Sola Emiko, was crowned King Wari in Nigeria, in the Delta State. Thousands lined the streets, dignitaries, well-wishers flew in from around the world, so it was a big do, obviously. This part of Nigeria is a really oil-rich state, although there is a lot of poverty in the area, but it's a really rich, oil-rich state. And looking at the pictures, they really, it was a real ceremony, a lot of gold, a lot of, glamour involved and stuff like that. So, but yeah, new king in Nigeria. I don't know how many kings. It'd be interesting to know how many kings there are in Nigeria. How much royal families? Because obviously it's a big place, and there are a lot of royalty there across Africa as a continent. To be fair, but yeah, it's a new king, Wari, the king of Wari in Nigeria, Delta State. Okay, so a student, Hannah. Hannah Lloyd. She basically fundraised thousands to secure her place in Oxford University. After basically she failed to secure numerous scholarships, so she tried to get the scholarship, didn't work out for her. But at 26-year-old, she had enough tenacity and enough gumption to go out there and make it happen for herself. And yeah, she raised over £34,000, and yeah, to go towards her £44,000 tuition fees for Oxford University. So hats off to her for making it happen for herself. Not lying down in the face of adversity, finding another way and making it happen. So yeah, very inspirational. Hannah Lloyd, hats off to you, and good luck with all your studying coming up. Excellent stuff. Okay, so this weekend and this week, to be fair, and probably the next week, has been, we've been inundated with news clips, with pictures, with commentary in regards to Extinction Rebellion in London. I'm sure it's happening in other cities as well, but obviously there's massive stuff happening in London. So in Oxford Circus and Seven Dials, Covent Garden, surrounding areas, big protests, nearly 200 people being arrested thus far. It's probably gone up by the time you're hearing this. And yeah, on Wednesday, people glued themselves to a giant pink table, all kinds of human chain situations going on. So like I said, it's made a lot of coverage across the news and media, etc., social media as well. And I think there was at least 10,000 people congregated near and around the rallies, which started on Sunday just gone, and I think they're planned to do it for the next 2 weeks. So no doubt we'll hear a lot more about that, especially over the bank holiday weekend, So yeah, a lot going on. Extinction Rebellion. And, they are fighting for a good cause. It's all about the planet and whatnot, But, when they do stop people going about their daily business, some people, are not tolerant of that, even though it is only for 2 weeks. But I've got to say, I can see the world is, we are impacting the world in a negative way. And there are things we can do better. And if these people are taking the time out to bring attention to it and readdress the balance as much as they can, why not? It is a noble cause. People can only, I suppose, get upset about the way they go about stuff and things like that. But at the end of the day, are they doing something? Are they talking about something that's correct? Is it a noble thing to do? And I've got to agree. So on the crypto side of things, there has been a couple of major hackings of recent days. Liquid Global Exchange company. They were hit by hackers. They lost out on £72 million UK pounds for this attack. But they've insisted that customers, they will reimburse customers. That may take a long time because there are different rules to the whole cryptocurrency thing. It's not like we're dealing with the banks. They're not regulated in the same way at all. In many ways, they're not regulated at all. So that was one. And then there was also Poly Network. They were also hacked as well. And they lost $610 million of customer funds. These things happen. That's why I say the cryptocurrency stuff is something definitely to keep an eye on, and the NFT stuff, understand it, what goes on with it, etc. Because it is part of finance and assets and movement of money around the world and whatnot. So it is important to know about it, but it's important to protect yourself as well, getting proper financial advice. Using digital wallets, those are essential. If the people that lost money in this situation, if they had digital wallets, they wouldn't have lost any money because they would have had, their money would have been in their own digital wallet rather than online with a company that's not actually regulated and you don't have any rights if they lose your money. So these are things to really be aware of. Things are definitely really to be aware of. Also, there was a young boy. I forgot, it's Benjamin, I think his name was, but a young 12-year-old boy who has got into NFTs. He got into making, they're called weird whales. That was it. And he got into it with his dad's a computer programmer, and basically created these whales, and they sold out. He made, I think it was £290,000 for the back of these NFTs, but he's only 12 years old. God knows what he's going to be making and creating in the next few years, but he's definitely off to a good start. So hats off to him with the weird whales. He's definitely doing well with that. So it's definitely something to keep your eye on, but it is risky business. So just make sure you're doing it in a safe way. So a couple of films and documentaries that I have not yet seen. They're not new, but they're being promoted at the moment. They're doing a little run at the moment. So one of them is Songs of Redemption, a documentary about rehabilitation in Jamaican prisons. And talking about how they use music, inmates learning instruments, songwriting, making reggae records, etc. And I think that is really interesting because I never could for the life of me understand how Vybz Kartel is convicted of murder and then is constantly putting out music whilst being in prison. I never could understand how that, it was happening, but it just seemed so, how does that happen? But obviously this kind of tells a story about how that works. But also, on the other hand, I think about other artists that have gone to prison and they're not putting out music. I think of like Ninja Man, for instance, because he's, formidable reggae artist, very funny reggae artist, but also in prison now. But we haven't heard any music come out from him. So I don't know if maybe certain prisons, maybe it's, you get certain, benefits if you behave yourself. Maybe I don't know, but it'd be I suppose watching it you'll find out. But Redemption Song. Sorry, not Redemption Song. Songs of Redemption. I'm thinking of the old Bob Marley tune, Songs of Redemption. So that's definitely one to watch out for. And then there's another one with Kamani Marley and Idris Elba called One Love. And it's basically a story about a Rasta singer and a church girl who fall in love. And the church girl has a firebrand preacher father, and all the complications that brings up. So that's another one to look out for, called One Love. So I'll definitely be looking out for that one. And then there's also Lovers Rock by Menelik Shabazz. And this one, I've seen clips of this in the past, but I haven't seen it in its entirety. So I definitely want to watch that one. And it basically highlights the uniquely black British sound that developed in the 1970s and 80s against the backdrop of riots, racial tensions, sound systems, and things like that. So that real authentic look, documentary on Lovers Rock. and how it influenced and kind of influenced the UK, influenced other parts of the world as well, because it didn't just stay on the UK shore. So yeah, definitely looking forward to watching that. And some new stuff that's coming on. Munya Chawawa, the comedian who constantly goes viral on Instagram with his jokes and his skits and his Unknown P, one of his grime characters that he does. Is it Unknown P or Unknown T? Yeah, Unknown P. Percy, yeah, Unknown Percy, that's what they call it. But yeah, he's got a new show coming up, a new YouTube comedy series titled Race Around Britain. So it's a four-part series. He created it and he's fronting it as well. And it's basically exploring Black British experience, race, prejudice, and different parts of the UK. So that should be interesting. And also looking at like what the extent of the lack of cultural education and exposure contributes to the division in society. So yeah, I'm sure he'll put his comedic slant on it as well. But it looks like he's going to be digging into some meaningful and thoughtful stuff. So yeah, definitely look out for that. I'm not sure when that's actually rolling out, but I'm sure if you go on his Instagram, he'll be pushing that already. And also coming up is Tiny Temper. He's been announced that he's going to be the presenter of a new Channel 4 show titled Outrageous Extensions, another 4-part series looking at the most audacious dream homes ever seen or ever built. So yeah, that should be interesting as well. Like a property type show. But yeah, hats off to him for locking down that TV slot, because we haven't heard a lot of music from him of late. So good to see that he's transitioned into something different. So yeah, look out for that, Tiny Temper. So yeah, like I said, bank holiday weekend, get out there, do something, have fun, eat loads, eat healthy, drink loads, drink healthy. And connect with people. I've heard over the past few months, I've heard a lot of stuff going on for people, and it does puts life into perspective. Some of the things that I've heard, you just don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. You really just don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. One day you're making plans to do A, B, and C. And yeah, life just throws major curveballs at you. So I've heard a lot of things like that happen of late. So yeah, I just say, get out there and enjoy. Tomorrow's not promised. And if tomorrow is promised, it might not be the tomorrow that you was hoping it was going to be. So if you've got today, get out there and enjoy it. Speak to people that you love, speak to people that you care about, stay connected. But yeah, don't take what you have today for granted, because it's not promised. So thank you again for choosing Pablo's podcast today, and hopefully you can join me on the next one. Until then, take care and be nice to each other. Thank you for listening to Pablo's podcast. I'm Pablo from Hackney, and you can catch me next week for more healthy discussion.